no PowerPoint on the screen. Please put it on. I'll try to make it brief because some of us are at work. Some of us may be on the road. What is that now? Some of us may be on the way for lunch. Next. Okay. One of the attributes of the engineer is acquiring knowledge. Knowledge refers to understanding scientific principles, mathematical concepts, technical expertise, practical experience that engineers use to solve problems and make informed decisions. This knowledge spans across various disciplines, including physics, mathematics, material science, computer science, and domain-specific engineering fields. I was somewhere and they said even engineers are the best love makers. I don't know about that, but Mama can tell us more about that. My wife is not here to attest to it. I want to recall an incident that happened in Abeokuta. The substation in Abeokuta, Ojere substation, was just the perimeter fence of my father-in-law's house. And I went there to greet him. No light, no nothing. I said, how long have you been? They said, for the past 3 days, no electricity. I went to the station because I built the station. I had a very good knowledge of what was there. I saw the engineers sleeping, everybody. Then I looked at the board. All the lights came up, which means that the whole place had broken down completely. And I said, what happened? I know it rained that day. It rained a day before. So I said, what happened? They said, no, they don't know. Everything is on lockout, blah, blah, blah. They don't even have a clue. All the breakers are on lockout. And I realized that there's just one cable that was supposed to be in the communication room. That is where, if there was SCADA, if there was any PLC, that was it. So I realized that water had sent silt into the place, and it's a bit like clay. So it was that cable that was shutting out. And that cable is such that when it comes, if you keep opening breaker and closing, it will just go on lockout. So I just removed the cable and remove all the seat there, and all the lights went off. They said, what did I do? But that is just part of being knowledgeable about something. And in less than 10 minutes, we restored the electricity back. So 3 days. My late director in Abeokuta at that time, till he died, Engineer Obaseki, who said the magician. There was no magic in it. When you have thorough knowledge and experience, people will think that you are from the outer space. You are not from the outer space. You just apply your knowledge. That is engineering. My mother called me one day when my vehicle broke down. I was trying to repair the carburetor. It was in the days of carburetor. I said, which engineer is yours? You can't even fix your car. I said, Mama, my engineering has nothing to do with fixing cars. I said, then it's useless. But that is the impression that most people had. The people who are going out for us to install transformers, and change fuses, and those are the engineers that we know. They are in the engineering field, but they are not engineers. Engineers' job is far, far more detailed than that one. Who is telling us the span of a 330 kV tower? Who is telling us the height that it must be? Who is analyzing corona effect and this and that? Those are the engineering jobs. Who is looking at the interface between transmission and generation when it comes to transient faults and this? These are the jobs of the engineers. It's far, far more detailed than my ability to change fuses, to repair a breaker. They are working in the engineering field, but that is not the engineer's job. I recall another issue. I'm sorry, I'll be brief, but I think it's better for us to understand that when you say knowledge, knowledge is power. If you are knowledgeable, people may assume that you are arrogant. That is a normal thing for those who are not as knowledgeable and say you are very arrogant. But power, knowledge is power. When you have power, you won't call yellow blue and blue yellow. And I know those are one of the critical things that most people had against Engineer Somolu. It was too knowledgeable for their time. And it became, I don't know how to call it, it became like somebody is thinking. You think you have known everything, you come across him, you just laugh and say, bring paper. You bring paper. And you know, Engineer Somolu, as tall as he was, his handwriting is so tiny. Then he will begin to scribble. He will begin to analyze and come and say, you see, that is the engineer at work. And that was where I said, if I cannot beat him, I must resemble him. A case in hand, I went with, I won't mention the name of the company, but I went to Finland for what they call factory acceptance test. And the company took us around this and that, and when they finished, they took us to a coffee room and said, now sit down, what do you see? My boss that I went, not him, it's a different boss. He was jubilating, very nice, very good. In fact, he's very impressed, this and that. Luckily, he was standing, he was seated next to me. So I put my leg on him. So please, keep quiet. So he looked at me and said, Omaya, I hope some of us speak Yoruba. Omaya, Kilode, Modode, and I sorrow. Don't talk yet. So I told them that I've seen everything you have done is look good, but I have one issue. These transformers will not last in Nigeria for more than 9 months. For a big company at that level, they said, no, it's impossible. We make for Japan, we make for, I said, you can be making for anywhere. But I realized that this thing will not work in Nigeria. They said, what did I see? I said, bring $1 million, I will give you. Of course, they couldn't. They offered me a job. I said, no, I'm not taking the job. If I was not trained back home, I wouldn't know what is wrong with your system. They argued it out that that type of test is a data test. I said, how much will it cost for us? Because I was dead sure of what I was saying. I said, how much will it cost? They said it's about $3,000. I realized that I was given a sample of $3,300. So I still have $300 with me. So I drew out the money and put it on the table. This is $3,000, but I want that test performed. They said, no, I've challenged them too much. I should keep my money. So I kept my money. The way the first one it failed, second one failed, third one failed. And then they said, so what is it? I said, well, I've told you how you can be of help to yourself. Anyway, to cut the story short, those transformers ended up in Nigeria, and none of them lasted, 26 of them, 15 MVA, none of them lasted more than 9 months. Because before I came to Nigeria, they had dispatched somebody to tell my other supervisors that I was making trouble over there. And of course, who was I? That small boy? No way. But knowledge is power. Knowledge will lead to competence. Okay? Next.
Competence.
Competence. No.
Competence.
Okay. Can you move it up a little bit? It looks like some of the wordings are missing. But it doesn't matter. Knowledge will lead to competence. And what is competence? Competence combines skills, knowledge, experience, and ethical judgments, enabling engineers to perform tasks effectively within their practice. It requires that we analyze problems, develop solutions, and in developing solutions, you might have to go back to your principles of physics, principles of mathematics to develop models. Because some of the things we are talking about, we have never seen it. I've never seen an electron before, whether it's black or white or green or whatever it is. But I can describe the characteristic of an electron to the letter and even use it to different things. When people get shocked, they cannot tell what is actually flowing through them. But by way of mathematical models, we can model exactly the principles, the characteristics, the way and manner electrons will behave. Thanks for chemistry, thanks for physics, and thanks for mathematics. We implement designs. Sometimes we may have to build a prototype of a design and see how it functions before we get it to a commercial level. But in doing this, we must make sure we adhere to regulations, standards, and best practices. Checker Junior, I'm sure here you will have issues with me. That it involves effective communication, because that's your area. Teamwork and continuous learning to adapt to evolving technologies. Next. Ethics and integrity. Integrity in engineering is about honesty and strong moral principles. It involves being transparent, accountable, responsible for one's actions, ensuring that engineering solutions are designed and implemented with the highest quality and sustainability. Engineer Somolu, in my interaction with him, constantly reminded me of the importance of ethical awareness in engineering. Stand by what you preach. Don't preach what you cannot stand for. If I wake you up today, tell me the same thing as you will tell me if I decide to wake you up in next week. And what that means is that you must have thoughtfully arrived at your own conclusion. When you are sure of what you are doing, you will stand by it. But if you just hear, say, business, and talk, engineer Akinwole tells me something, mommy tells me something, and I don't have anything inside me, I'll find him interesting, I'll find her interesting, and if the third person comes, I will also find interesting. That cannot suffice for engineering. If you design a multimeter, whether I use it to measure 20 volts or 500 volts or whatever it is, it must arrive at the same answer for me. He advised me against technical compromise. Don't compromise. I was less than 2 years, I was supposed to be doing pupillage in NEPA. Because when you enter NEPA, you spend 2 years pupillage. But Engineer Somolu took me out of pupillage. Because one day he took me for a meeting with Engineer Lawrence Amon, and he found that I was contributing to the distance. This boy, I've never seen him before. Engineer Somolu said, he's one of our pupil engineers. He said, no, this one is not a pupil engineer. He's talking better than some of you seated there. And from that day, he wrote a letter absolving me of any pupillage, anything. I was maybe first and the last that will not attend pupillage. He took me away. Not only that, Engineer Somolu was one of those that decided that enough is enough with all these Mazda, Macmillan, Motor Columbus. They will design for us and just hand over. We won't land. So we agreed with the engineer Amon that every in-house engineering job, with respect to all the 9 substations we wanted to build, will be done in. And he chaired that thing. So out of the 9 substations, he first put me as an assistant engineer on one, but in less than 6 months, he made me the project engineer. So not only that, I was supposed to be on pupillage, but I had a figure 504 to myself with a driver. The driver was as big as my father. So when he's driving and sitting at the back, people will assume that he's my father. And that was the life he led me to. When I needed more this thing, he sent me to Jos, who are commissioning the 330 kV. I've worked as a youth corper. I worked in Benin area, so I know about this thing. But commissioning from scratch to the end, he said, when you go there, you will learn better. And I did. By the time I came back, I had a booklet as big as this, defining the roles in commissioning. And from that moment, I had a very good knowledge of what it takes to commission a substation, and knowledge of how the interaction between relays and others, they have interlocks and how communication channels, and I learned all those ones when he sent me to. Well, I thank my God too that I was a good listener. Otherwise, they can send you for training and you will not benefit anything from it. But who was I not to benefit when my benefactor is a trainer himself, who works with all the integrity in this world, never involved in gossip, but always calling me to say, do you know this? I said, yeah, but he said, what do you know about it? We talk about it. And he will use his small handwriting to scribble things down that sometimes I have to be going very close to see whether I could read it or not. I'm sorry about that. His advice to me that one might only sometimes prosper financially, adhering to ethical standards, guarantees, ethical standard guarantees dignity, integrity, and above all, peace of mind. If you are working somewhere and you don't have peace of mind, something is wrong. If you are working and you are looking, they say somebody is asking you, he said, how did he dress? Because you want to know whether it's EFCC or it's ICPC or somebody. Next slide. Some of the attributes of the engineer, just to cap up our discussion, you must have a sound analytical skill. If you don't have a sound analytical skill, it's very distinct. And I will give you an example. There was a time that the 132 kV line from Kaduna to Zaria is double circuit. But one circuit is 33, and one circuit was 132. And somebody made a mistake of grounding the line in Zaria. And it sends a lot of waves and others. And 6 people died on the 33 kV edge for touching, because their fridges were making go. They went there to touch it. Oh, mommy, oh, daddy. And that was how 6 of them in the family died. And they set up an inquiry for that. I happen to be one of them. Because transmission is saying, no, it's not what we did that affected this. Distribution said, we didn't do anything different. Now, it was our mandate to establish what exactly happened. I went back to what I was taught in Westinghouse. And I used that to produce a 10-page calculation. Up to now, today, I still look at the calculation and say, was it me that did this or not? Because my brain has changed. And it concluded that when that thing happened, there was a flash over to the tower. And the tower raised the voltage between the tower and the 33 kV. So close to over 60 kV. And when you apply 60 kV to transformer, before the transformer would go, it will also transform from 415 volts maybe to 1,500, 600. And that was the time the pages were on. And that solved the problem. That is engineer's job. The technicians were saying, no, there's no relationship. But the engineer was able to establish that relationship. And if you don't have that analytical skill, we could have concluded that there was no relationship, but there was. Engineers must be involved in creativity and innovation. You must be able to use your surrounding. I was told that the first moon listing was the advent of GSM. People went to the moon. It was in that process that the issue of GSM came into being. And many of us will also see the same. Innovation is necessary. When we were changing left to right, right to right, I think Professor Wojobi of the University of Lagos did his own. He converted this thing, but engineers didn't matter. And so everybody left him to his ingenuity. I wish that people like Dangote and Elumelu were around. Maybe they would have taken his innovation to set up a factory and will convert it, because we are mostly left-hand drive and we are going to right-hand drive or vice versa.
You know what make I retire?
Engineers must pay attention to details. I will write a memo to Engineer Somolu. He will use red biro to correct comma, semicolon, where I should have put a capital letter. And one day I said, what's your, look, just read what I've said and let me know. He said, no, the grammar must be okay. The comma must be put here. And he will use his handwriting to write exactly things. That was Engineer Somolu for you. If you want to be his disciple, you must pay attention to details. I know Professor Okafor must be hearing me now. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying.
An engineer must have a good communication skills.
I know what you're
not
saying.
Only electrical communication, but even verbal skills. Because you'll be involved in environmental social impact related issues. And you must know how to handle communities. Otherwise, the thing will get out of hand. I remember that we were to build a line, is it a holder to Yenegua or something. And they found somebody's house on the line, uncompleted. They called him and paid him for the place. What did he do? He used the money they paid him to complete the house and now call us again to negotiate the fully completed house. That is just to tell you how complex it can be, even in trying to communicate with communities when you are doing transmission lines. I know that even in building Kenji, a lot of resettlement took place. In building Jeba, a lot of resettlement. In building Shirora, a lot of resettlement took place. And it required a lot of communication skills to be able to move people from their ancestral home to a different place. Adaptability. We have to adapt. I remember when I was principal manager, PCNM, and I wanted to buy, the people there were used to Motorola-based radio. If they open it like this, they can almost put hand and say, this is what is wrong then. But later I said, if Motorola decides to close their shops today, what will be the end point of us? So we started buying radios from American companies, from German companies, from this. And it became a tug of war to sell it to my staff because they didn't want to learn any new thing. I told them, if you wanted to go to the company and see and look, I will tell management so that you can go. But they didn't want to learn anything new. They're already used to how they do. Some of us today now, we cannot drive stick. We are used to just pressing steady and brake. Nothing more than that. We don't know whether their two should come off or this and that. That is, we must be adaptable. Next. I'll just glance through this. I think we have spoken a little bit about transparency, confidentiality, environmental social responsibility that we have to give, and a continuous learning. The last on the group is quality assurance. Whatever you produce, whatever you make, if there's no quality there, it will not be long before you are out of business. I remember in those days, anything that is not good, they say made in Taiwan or made in China. Today, when China has improved on their quality assurance, where do we turn to? It's the same China. So it is necessary for us to know that if we want to remain in the business, there must be some quality assurance. There's what they call ergonomics, which to me, by my own interpretation, is whatever you do, you must look at the interaction of that machine and the human interface. If you have a flywheel that is running, you cannot put it in a place where accidentally somebody can put. Let's look at the fan. Why did they cover it? So that our hand cannot reach, because children can go there. That is part of ergonomics. It's a machine-human interface, and purely to address safety and people not to have the ability to stumble or do this. Even in the design of the floor of the factory, if it's too slippery, you can be rest assured that people will slip over it, especially if some oil or things where there's oil in the corner. Finally, I would say that this lecture has explored the importance of knowledge, competence, and integrity in engineering practice. Engineers must possess analytical skills, creativity, attention to detail, a good communication skill, ethical awareness, especially the impact it will have on the society. Engineer Somolu left a legacy of competence, integrity, and leadership. He was a mentor and a role model for many engineers, not only myself. Akinwale is one of the disciples, and we are many who were his disciples, that he mentored us and encouraged us to be good engineers. There was no day that Engineer Somolu ever called me to say that somebody is bringing 1,000 naira to me and to collect on his behalf. And he never encouraged me to ask me, what are you getting from that project? That was not his way of life. If he will ask me any question, it can be technical questions, it can be ethical questions related to the job that we are doing. He was a role model, and his influence continues to guide how we work today, those of us who are his disciples. I am particularly grateful to have been one of Engineer Somolu's disciples, and I'm proud to be one. And I will say it anywhere, because the Yoruba said, when your masquerade is dancing well, you want to associate with the person. My masquerade boss did well, and I'm a proud person today to say that I'm one of his disciples. I want to thank the organizers of this lecture for the opportunity for me to adore and present my boss, my mentor, my leader, Engineer FNSE Somolu. Thank you very much.
Questions and answers that we would like, if you have questions and answers based on what you artist money, you would need to raise your hands up
mobile telecom smarts and the universities, of course, will have industrial meters. So from the projections that were made, and the
our internet connection, they say, is unstable. That's why it was breaking. Hello. Hello. Hello.
I guess they had network issue.
We are
Hello.
hearing you, sir. Hello, we are hearing you, sir. We are hearing you, sir.
Well, I didn't hear
Yes, we are
anything,
hearing you, sir.
and I
We
was
can hear
trying to
you,
find
sir.
out what's going on.
Okay.
Am I speaking with Engineer Akinwale? Hello.
You are speaking to everybody, not necessarily Engineer Akinwale.
I know that I'm supposed to handle the moderation of the question and answer, but I haven't heard anything from the other end. But I see I'm on the spot, and I believe that's a signal to carry on. And
Yes.
I must give a rousing applause to the guest speaker, Engineer John Ayodele, and wherever each of us is, we should please give him a great round of applause for doing justice to the topic of this lecture and the subject of the lecture. Engineer John Ayodele has actually given a good account as not just a disciple, but I think a good apostle of Engineer Foluseke Abidemi Somolu, fellow Academy of Engineering, fellow Nigerian Society of Engineers, fellow Nigerian Institution of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, and so on. The foundation also gave a good bio of the person we are celebrating today, that it is really difficult to improve on what they have done. And for the purposes of keeping things brief, as stressed by the keynote speaker, I think I would adopt what has been said in the bio presented by the foundation and also the accolades that had been showered by the keynote speaker. I am in phase with him that our mentor, our common mentor, Engineer Foluseke Somolu was a very cosmopolitan personality who regarded competence as his tribe. And if he sees competence from anywhere, from anybody, he's home with that. And somebody who hates dishonesty. He encourages debate, as said by the keynote speaker. And I can attest to that, that I had too many sessions of debates. Sometimes, or most of the time, he provoking such debates. I would remember when he was putting together his October lecture as past president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. He would call me up and bring up some issues. This is what he thinks he wants to do. What do I think about it? And we will begin to debate, and he would take some of the things I will say and replace with what he had already proposed to do. That was the man. And like he said, he's knowledgeable. He's been knowledgeable about so many subjects, about so many things in this our country. It was sure a problem to a lot of people, and was actually what led to his exit from the public sector, the political public sector, because he said the truth and stood by the truth about the cost of the project of which he was coordinator, the National Integrated Power Project, the then biggest ongoing power project in the world. And he stood by the facts that are attested to by the central bank, by all the financial statutory authorities, that this was the cost or the money spent so far on the project. And the records are there. I believe in some of the writings that have come down to us. We can always meet them. Our guest speaker talked to us about competence and key skills needed in engineering, about integrity eventually, and how Engineer Somolu all the time, if you are with him, he will keep reminding you about ethical awareness, that you have to do your engineering ethically. Another area he used to stress was economics. And he wrote a lot of papers on engineering economy. Doing engineering without the economics of it, being economical in doing what you're doing, that is not engineering anyway. And so these are all things that we admire in our hero of that we are celebrating today. And I will then open the floor for comments and questions. I don't know how much time we would have now, but maybe if we have 5 contributions from the floor, we should be poised for conclusions. I saw Professor Frank Okafor, another apostle of Engineer Somolu. I saw him up before. I don't know if he has changed his mind now, but if he wants to make an intervention, I gladly yield the floor to him. Professor Okafor, please.
Thank you so much. Our honorable past president of Nigerian Society of Engineers and a fellow also of the Academy of Engineering. Mine will be very short because I will say Engineer Ayodele has said it all. I enjoyed that lecture. It was like a nostalgic representation of what one had gone through all along. I would simply say thank you to the organizers. I would simply also add that this is the 9th year, of his, I would say, exit. And of course, going to the other world. And next year will be the 10th year. Indeed, my surprise, not really a surprise, is I would say, happiness is that the attitude coincidentally has not changed. It's as if Engineer Eji will remember the evening of tribute that remains, I would say, unmatched since the past 9 years. Where people talked and talked, we had to kneel down to beg some people to stop because we couldn't continue. I would add, finally, that next year, which is the 10th year, we are planning in collaboration with all of us who are either apostles, disciples, and so on, to have a meeting, a physical meeting, where we'll launch at least a book on his behalf. We started 4 books. We are trying to put them together. A few things happened. It should have been launched before now, but we are going to do it about this time next year. My stop so far. Thank you so much, Engineer Eji, and thank you so much, Engineer Ayodele, for what we have listened to. It's beautiful, I will say.
Thank you, Prof. May I call on the Honorary Secretary of the Nigerian Academy of Engineering, Engineer Mrs. Christy Adelowo, fellow Academy of Engineering, fellow Nigerian Society of Engineers, also one of the apostles, was vice president to Engineer Somolu when Engineer Somolu was president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. Engineer Mrs. Adelowo, please.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Auntie and the children and all distinguished engineers on this call. Please apologize, I have to stay behind the camera because of where I am presently. I hope you can all hear me.
Yes,
I hear you.
Oh, okay.
We can hear you.
So, thank you very much. I also like to appreciate the guest speaker, Engineer Ayodele, for that engaging and brilliant presentation. I don't know how I felt when he talked about visiting probably the what do you call it now? One of the offices in Abeokuta. I think they have a name for these offices. Anyway, so he got there, just a small problem, and the engineers on duty they didn't see that problem, they couldn't identify the problem, and kept the whole area in darkness. And it's so sad. So I'm wondering what should be done about retraining the engineers, especially in the power sector, but everywhere anyway. But today we are talking about the power sector, because there's a need to retrain them. My experience is that most times they make them business managers, so they are busy talking about procurement and so on. So they lose that touch with the engineering aspect of their career. So I don't think this should end. This talk about the knowledge, competence, and integrity in engineering practice should stop here. It should be something that should be carried on and on and on until it can sink and let people know that we are not just here to do, it's good to do management business, but you need to continue with your engineering career and add knowledge to what you know. And I also want to add to, add to what has been said about Engineer Somolu, because I was his vice president for 2 years when he was president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. And I remember, Engineer Somolu was an amiable fellow. Everybody liked him. But when he became president, a little thing happened. Then Auntie, that's Mama Somolu, as she was just called, said, hey, they don't know Engineer Somolu, they don't know Shekeo. He's a tough man, They think because he smiles to everybody, he will not demand excellence or demand that things should be done properly. And that was my experience. The first thing was we had to prepare the budget for the annual conference. And as usual, we prepared the budget and we added miscellaneous at the end of it. So I took the budget to him, said, please take it back. What is miscellaneous? I didn't understand. So I went back again, still added miscellaneous. And he said, no. What were you expecting to be miscellaneous items? Nothing like miscellaneous. You must identify every expense. So he just had bird's eye, view for details. Like you said, looking at commas and semicolons. So he was working with him. You had to be up to, you had to be up and doing. He was his business. His leadership style was very effective, and he could not. If you had no integrity, he just couldn't suffer such people, and that was the experience I had with him. So thank you again to the foundation for organizing this wonderful event. We all look forward to the 10th anniversary, because I know it's going to be much bigger than this. And I pray that Almighty God will continue to preserve all the legacies Engineer Somolu has left behind, living and not living. Thank you very much. Thank you, moderator.
Thank you. Let me call another apostle, Engineer Adekunle Sunday Makinde, former president, Nigerian Institution of Electrical and Electronic Engineers. Engineer Makinde, please.
Good afternoon, His Royalty, past presidents of the NIEEE in the House, very senior colleagues also very much here, distinguished gentlemen, ladies and fellows. I want to just, I must apologize first of all. I have been grossly engaged. I came on the call a short while back. I met His Royalty speaking, so obviously I missed out on the lecture. Of course, I'm going to find a way of getting it, because I know Engineer Ayodele is an erudite mentor and scholar himself. I shouldn't just wish that away. I would definitely get it. But I just want to say a little bit about Engineer Foluseke Somolu, who happened to be a mentor as well to me, even though we were of, probably younger generation. And I will just share a particular experience. There were quite a number of them. There were quite many of them. As maybe Assistant General Secretary of the NIEEE then, or as the General Secretary, I think it was assistant, I was in his house in Lekki, and there were quite a number of things I took to him, to show him that, oh, these are some of the things we are doing. I think we needed to get some documents endorsed and seek his counsel on quite a number of things. And then I showed him newsletter that we worked on, because we were always, projecting our activities. NIEEE is always there at the very top, the pride of everyone. So I showed him some of the works I've done. Of course, I did some of those graphics on the computer myself, and I showed them to him, and he looked at me, he smiled. He said, but the way you stretched this picture, you should have stretched it. You know, it was very calm, very cool about it, that the stretching was not rightly done. He didn't condemn me. That's Engineer Somolu for you. He said, but you could have done it this way. You should have stretched it from the edges. You know, there's a way you stretch picture, you will try to adjust it such that I'm sure Engineer Olani knows what I'm talking about. So he said, no, the stretching should have been done from the edge, not from the top, because it's going to lose the shape, the original content. And man, I just looked at him, I shook my head. I said, even these little things, this Baba still paid attention to little details. You know, so that was Engineer Somolu for you. Very meticulous, very methodical, and of course, paying attention to very little details. So some of us took some of these things from him because they look at some of us and maybe you're a perfectionist, you want this, we learned from the masters, you know. So I want to also appreciate the organizers of this event, and without taking so much of our time, I want to say, may God continue to be with the family. Mama, God bless you. God keep every member of the family, and of course, the larger NIEEE family. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Engineer Makinde. Can I call on Engineer Godwin Alomaja to please take the floor?
Okay. Good afternoon, my fathers, my mothers. I appreciate this lecture. I don't know how I got myself to this place, but I know it's for a purpose. God has led me here. And though I don't actually know the past, the engineer Somolu, I don't really know him. But in fact, the testimony I just heard about him, no, I'm just encouraged as a young man, just coming up. I'm a small boy in the engineering field. I studied electronics engineering, and I have passion for electrical. In fact, I have passion for electrical. I even started my study in technical school. I went for electrical engineering. I studied electrical in technical college. After that, I went to Polytechnic. I studied electrical electronics in my national diploma. And after that, I went for direct entry, University, Enugu State, University of Science and Technology.
Please, can you go to the subject of the lecture, please? Yes.
Yeah, actually, I want to ask a question. I'm actually encouraged by the milestones our guest speaker, the person that spoke. In fact, I'm really encouraged. So please, I want to know how I can, because for me now, I've not even started. So I want my elders here, I need your advice. How to even start, how I can even achieve something, in fact, something great in the engineering field. Because currently I'm actually working with Yola Electric, and I happen to work in control room, substation, one of the substations here in Taraba State. But I don't have all this knowledge. I don't know how to. I need to have a solid foundation so that in years to come, me too, I'll be able to acquire some knowledge in the electrical field as regards to my career, so that I'll be able to attain to greater heights. So I want to ask how I can upscale my skill, what are the engineering bodies I can actually belong to
thank you, Engineer Alomaja. I mean, you have said a very important thing, that you don't know how God led you to come here. And from the questions you are asking, you came to the right place.
Thank God. Thank you, sir.
Try and keep in touch with the foundation, the F.A. Somolu Foundation.
Okay, sir.
Yes, if you do that, I think all the anxieties and all the questions you will find solutions, to those things you are worrying about. But now we'll go to one of our elders, Engineer Dr. Langre Shagaya, OFR, Fellow Academy of Engineering, Fellow Nigerian Society of Engineers, past President Association of Consulting Engineers in Nigeria, and Pro-Chancellor is one of the latest, the Pro-Chancellor of, I don't remember the name of the university now, but I can even call it Duruwa University or something.
Oh,
And you are welcome, Engineer Shagaya, Zana of Ilori. You will have the floor, please.
Thank you very much, my brother and friend, Engineer Otis, past president of Nigerian Society of Engineers. I'd like to pay respects and serious apologies to the family of Engineer Somolu. Before then, I'd like to thank Engineer Ladi for Ladi Ayodele, my brother, for this. Actually, I missed it, but I have to be here. I know I have to be in many things that concerns Engineer Somolu, because Engineer Somolu has been my childhood friend. I can say we were classmates because we graduated the same year. He graduated University of Lagos and I left ABU in 1970. And I must say something here that he and Engineer Bode George were roommates in Kaenji in 1972. They were in the so-called NDA, which, NEPA, ECN, which transformed into NEPA, whatever it is. And I had an assignment. I was working for a consulting engineering firm in Ibadan, and I was transferred to Kaenji to go and do water studies and design. I had no accommodation. Somolu and George, housed them in their house. We have been friends since that time. But much later in the year, the two of us, were presidents of engineering bodies at the same time. He was NSC president and I was ACEM president. That was 2021. Yeah, 20, whatever. About 20 years, 21 or 22 years ago. And we did something different from what is being done now. There were three of us, Engineer Somolu, myself, Engineer Oshoba. Oshoba was ACEM and was the current president then. We forged a union between NSC, current, and ACEM. It was a very strong union. And we had the opportunity to see the president of Nigeria, that is Chief Obasanjo, 3 times or 4 during our tenure. We were able to move engineering forward. I hope that can continue among the engineers. But back to the lecture. Unfortunately, I missed out of the lecture, and I just need to thank Ayodele for this. But most important reason why I come on to this lecture to give my profound apology to Engineer Somolu's family. Madam, I am sorry I hadn't seen you in a long time. I think your street has transformed into something that's very commercial. I don't know whether you are still there. I've been wanting to come and see you, but I'd like to come and see you. I will find out, are you still in the same house? And I'll find out the time that I can come and see you. That's number 1. Number 2, the foundation, I want part of it. Please don't leave me out. The 10th anniversary will be a very important one. I want to be part of that. But before then, I would like to make my contribution to this foundation, and I can reach out to the family much later. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, Engineer Otis. God bless you.
Thank you, Zana of Ilori.
Thank you, sir. Oh, by the way, the university is Ojaja University at Ilori.
Ojaja, yes. Ojaja University, yes, that's true. Congratulations.
I am not pro-chancellor. I'm chairman, board of trustee for the university. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I think we have had our 5 speakers, and we will be rounding up. But of course, we have to also pay tribute to the chairman of this F.A. Somolu Foundation, Dr. Mrs. Tokumbo Somolu, fellow Academy of Engineering, fellow Nigerian Society of Engineers, fellow Nigerian Institution of Civil Engineers, and so on. She actually is the first Nigerian lady to take a PhD in civil engineering. And God has been with her and has strengthened and fortified her that she's keeping the fort, doing all she's doing in civil engineering and structural engineering, but also making sure that the flame lit by our mentor, engineer Sheke Somolu, in the Nigerian electricity supply industry, that flame is still on. The foundation has been up and running, and I can tell you that they have been involved in several activities, even involving institution of scholarships in universities, which are competitively, determined for beneficiaries. And she's actively supported in this endeavor by I've forgotten the husband's name now, but Ni Somolu, and then Junior
Leslie.
Leslie. I thank all of you for keeping this foundation going and helping in big ways to keep the legacies of our mentor on. God will continue to bless you all. God will continue to shine his face on you all and on the foundation and on Nigerian engineering and the Nigerian electricity supply industry, which the late Sheke Somolu had very great passion and love for. By the grace of God, there shall be light. And the passion he has passed on to all of us will help drive us and succeeding generations to make sure that we get engineering right, we get the power sector right, we get economic development right for our dear country, Nigeria. On that note, I think I will hand over to the Honorary Secretary of the Foundation, Engineer Emma Akinwole, for other announcements that are required. And he also is being commissioned to handle the closing prayers as he deems fit, either by himself or by further delegation. So, Engineer Akinwole, you have the floor.
Thank you, His Royalty, Engineer Otis Ayaji, FNSE, FNIEEE, FAH, the Obi Onowu 2, Dokija, for a very good demonstration this afternoon. The next aspect of the program concerns what the foundation is going, programs they're already scheduling. And I will have the pleasure to request one of the foundation trustee members, Mr. Foluseke Somolu Jr., to kindly take us through what the program we have remaining for the year. Thank you. Mr. Foluseke, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Engineer Akinwole. Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. Before I continue, I want to say a special thank you to Engineer Ayodele, who I know was my father's loyal colleague, someone I remember from my class. He was one of those people. Thank you so much, sir, for your lecture. Engineer Otis Ayeji, for his very, very today's lecture is just one of several activities and projects being pushed by the Foluseke Abidemi Somolu Foundation as part of our broader mission of advancing engineering practice in Nigeria. We're proud to announce the imminent launch of our scholarship program for undergraduate electrical engineering students in the country. The goal is to identify 2 deserving students, 1 male, 1 female, and to support them, or to offer some financial support to them during their academic journeys. The application portal for this will soon go live, and all attendees to this Zoom lecture will receive the links via their email, and we hope you will share them within your networks and with your acquaintances and all those who may be interested. As has been mentioned by several speakers, next year, 2025, will mark a decade since my father, Engineer Sheke Somolu's passing. And the foundation is gearing up for this. We are planning several activities to mark the anniversary, including lectures, publications, and public fora. To ensure that this goes in the best and most beneficial way possible, we intend to involve a lot of the apostles, as they have now been christened. We will surely keep all of you updated as the date approaches and as preparations accelerate and move along. So thank you so much for attending, and I'll hand over.
Thank you, Mr. Foluseke Somolu Jr. At this point, we would like to request for, if there are comments by the president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Engineer Margaret Ogotala, FNSE, or also, if there are any brief remarks by the president of the Nigerian Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, Engineer Felix Olu, FNIEEE. Just 1 minute. Thank you. Or their representatives.
Thank you very much, my past president, Engineer Manuel Olulere Akinwole, FNSE, FNIEEE. Without taking so much time, I have to recognize elders and great people, great mentors, and people that have produced many engineers among us present on this call. I want to congratulate the foundation for another successful hosting of this lecture. And I must say that when we received the invitation and we saw that another erudite engineer is going to do the lecture, we have to pass information to all our 35 chapters that nobody should fix any program today at this time, but that members should be part of this call. So we are very happy and excited that this lecture has come successfully, and the topic of the day is very, very relevant, especially in the current situation that we are in Nigeria. It's also very, very relevant to the upcoming engineers, the younger ones, so that we can mentor them to remain competent, to keep their integrity and every other thing. So I want to thank our past president, Engineer John Oladipo Ayodele, my uncle, for another successful program that we have had. One of your nephews heard about it. He is not an engineer, but he said he has to be in this lecture. I'm sure he was busy, will have been here. So we know you, for quality. And now we are not surprised because you are also a mentee of past President, late Engineer Somolu. So I want to also appreciate his loyalty, a supporter of engineers, a producer of engineers too, past President, Nigerian Society of Engineers, his loyalty to Engr, FNSE, and fellow of the Academy of Engineering, and many other great people present on this call. So on behalf of the NIEEE, we congratulate the foundation, we congratulate our past president, the lecturer, and we congratulate and appreciate everyone that has come for this call. God bless you. Have a great time ahead, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Elder Felix Odu, for those nice remarks. I don't know whether we have a representative of the president or, okay, the president. I understand that you are on and you'd like to make a few remarks regarding the lecture as well as our late former president, Engineer Foluseke Abidemi Somolu, and his role in NSE, which you are currently heading. Thank you, ma'am. Please, can you unmute yourself, ma'am?
Very good. Have your seat first. I'm not giving you your results. Have your seat first.
Please.
Your dim light is not working.
Engineer Mrs. Margaret Ogotala, if you're around, please let us know, any of your representatives, because somebody called me from the office yesterday regarding your interest in attending this lecture. Okay. And the absence of any response, maybe she's offline or network not permitting, I would have the honor to request one of the foundation trustees, Mr. Kola Additional, to help us thank all those that have been present, that have participated, that have contributed one way or the other to make today a very great success, and as well as, do the closing prayers to end this session. Mr. Kola Additional.
Yeah, thank you very much, Engineer.
Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Engineer Akiwale. Well, my own job is about the easiest today. On behalf of the family, as well as the Board of Trustees of the Foluseke Abidemi Somolu Foundation, I want to thank all of you for attending this second public lecture. But I really would want to particularly appreciate Engineer John Oladipo Ayodele for sharing with us his perspective on the topic, knowledge, competence, and integrity in engineering practice. Of course, anybody that knows Engineer Ayodele very well, you know he's quite erudite, very vast, and very deep, wise, knowledgeable, and he has everything it takes for us to continue to celebrate him. Thank you so much for the depth of knowledge you've shared today. Of course, everything said about Engineer Somolu, very clear and very, very succinct, so distinctly true. There is nothing said that any one of us can take away. He was a man of valor and a man of value as well. And we know that his contribution will continue to endure. Part of my own takeaway from the lecture that Engineer Ayodele gave is the fact that without principles, you cannot really build any sustainable institution nor a practice. He was a man of principle, and his principle drove him all through his years, both in career, family, and even his interaction with those of us that were his mentees. And today we thank God that we're here celebrating his life after 9 years of his departure. But I really would want us to all join our hands together to celebrate profoundly Engineer Dr. Mrs. Olatokunbo Somolu, who is a blessed mother, a dutiful wife, a fantastic being. Ever since the passing of our great father and our brother, anywhere you see her, she was always smiling, always happy, and is an indication of the fact that her husband and herself have built a beautiful life that they are really, really, really happy to celebrate today. The children I know so well, and of course, I'm so happy to see them anytime. And the value they are adding is a testament of the fact that their father or our parents have done a good job bringing them up. It's been wonderful working with you all. The engineer Foluseke Abidemi Somolu Foundation has come to stay. And it's not only come to stay, we're going to do greater and mightier things with this foundation, because that's the only way we can truly show that a man came, a man saw, a man conquered, and he really did the very best he could. We're looking forward to the 10th anniversary. This has been very profound, but I'm sure the 10th anniversary will be far, far more profound as we do greater and better things, contributing our own quota to humanity, using the brand name, the unique brand name of Engineer Foluseke Somolu. Thank you so much. I don't want to begin to mention all names, the questions asked, and all the participants. We appreciate you all, and we most certainly look forward to seeing you all next year when we do something far more noble, and it will be global by God's grace, and lives will be touched in Jesus' name. I want to pray that each and every one of us will live our lives in ways and manner that will add value. May God continue to be with each and every one of us. May He continue to support us, be our shield, our buckler, and our fortress, and make our lives meaningful, so that at the time when we all pass on, memories about our lives will still go on and on for generations yet unborn. Thank you very much all. God bless you all. Do have a fantastic afternoon. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Auntie Akasama, Engineer Akinwale, thank you very much for a job well done.
Thank you, everybody, for a very great occasion, for your contributions, for your selflessness, for your attention, for coming promptly. I mean, today. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. All right, how are you, Junior? How's everyone?
Honorary Secretary, good evening. Good afternoon, ma.
Honorary Treasurer, how are you? Well done. Thank you. Auntie Mokima.
Engineer Akinwale, congratulations. Engineer Akinwale, congratulations, sir.
I don't think they can hear us.
Okay, ma.
Okay, Pami.
Engineer
Okay, well done.
Akinwale,
Thank
congratulations, sir.
Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. I joined you from the US. Congratulations. Job well done.
Congratulations, Engineer Akinwale. Congratulations, Royalty, Engineer Otis Anyeji, all participants. Thank you very much.
Toxi baby. Ekushe, Ore, Junior. Good job, good job. This your fascinator, Nika in town from Connecticut. My beautiful cousin, ever smiling, blessed and highly favored of the Lord. Benio, Ekushe.
We can't see your face.
I don't want you to see my face. I'm still in my overnight outfit.
Very early in the morning, yes.
It is well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ọlọ́run á dẹ́mi wá sí o títí dọdún tó ń bọ̀. Ẹsẹ̀ á pé o.
Mo ti fi reference iwájú orúkọ rẹ̀. It's a pastor. Mo ti fi reference iwájú orúkọ rẹ̀. Ṣé máa tọ́jú níwájú sáwọ́ olúyà tẹ́lẹ̀ tí máa sọ lọ́dọ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀. Yeah, I saw clips of your battle. Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah. So let's present. Let's present the plaque. The plaque.
Tokunbo.
Who is that?
Ige fẹ́ join. Ó wá ń try láti pè mí. Fóònù ni mo lò. Mo ya decline.
Ike Nigo.
Èmi nìyẹn.
Ike Nigo.
Yeah, má bínú o. Ige fẹ́ join. Kò rí bí wọlé. Ó wá ń pè mí. Èmi ò ya click mi ìyá dalo. Mo ń decline call ẹ̀. Torí mi mọ̀ tí n bá trip off, wọ́n lè má connect mi padà.
Mute ní kẹ́ ó kẹ́ mọ́ máa sọ̀rọ̀ lọ ní ẹ̀. Sọ̀rọ̀ lọ ní ẹ̀. Ẹ̀yà lẹ́sẹ̀ unmute ní kẹ́. Ní kẹ́ àdìgbà máa sọ̀rọ̀ lọ. Mute ní kẹ́. Kọ́ bí mute ní o jẹ́. Ádà ní kẹ́ ló. Ní kẹ́ pẹ̀lú ariwo.